I always wonder, what's the stupidest science article that has come out for the year? Now, it's only January 6th, but I think we can call it. This article is the dumbest thing I have read in a long time. All you sociologists and psychologists and anthropologists and all that working on your stupid research thinking you're going to be able to take the prize, give it up. Give it up. When you read this, you're going to think, oh, damn, this is pretty stupid. We can't touch this. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
All right, here's the title. Damar, I guess it's Damar or Damar, I guess Damar. Damar Hamlin's collapse highlights the violence black men experience in football because white players never get injured. I mean, you read the title and you think, oh, you have to be kidding me.
Dummy.
All right. The terrifyingly ordinary nature of football's violence disproportionately affects black men. Wait, what? So black players get hurt more? Well, maybe. Let's read on. Millions of people watched as Damar Hamlin, a 24-year-old player in the National Football League, executed a seemingly routine tackle during a highly anticipated Monday night football game. Well, so far the stupidity hasn't surfaced yet. We're doing okay. Immediately after, Hamlin rose to his feet and then collapsed. So far, so good. I got no issues. Players from his team, the Buffalo Bills, and the opposing team, the Cincinnati Bengals, created a tight huddle around him on the field as medical personnel tried to revive him. We learned the next day that Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest. His heart had suddenly stopped working, just like it stops working for thousands of people every day. Of course, nobody cares about them. And don't give me the crap that they do. They don't. This scene was horrific for both its regularity and its exceptionality. I don't get that. It can't be regular and exceptional. Who writes these things? Matt Gutman of ABC tweeted as much. The scariest part of this is that the hit was in fact not scary. That's the scariest part? I thought the cardiac arrest would be the scariest part. Who writes this crap? Oh my God. It looked terrifyingly ordinary. That makes no sense. The ordinariness. By the way, hey, I'm sorry. We're going to have to put an end to exceptionality and ordinariness. Guys, choose better words. The ordinariness of men running into each other at full speed represents a normalized, even rationalized violence that is routine to this American game. In other words, football has a lot of big hits. We are learning something new about football here. Aren't you glad that we're reading this? This ordinary violence has always riddled the sport, and it affects all players. Well, it affects the players that get hurt, yeah. If you haven't been hurt, not affecting you at all. But black players are disproportionately affected. While black men are severely underrepresented in positions of power across football organizations, such as coaching and management, they are overrepresented on the gridiron. Well, wait a minute. There was a time when they weren't represented at all. I mean, what was it? 1970, University of Texas had no black players on its team. And of course, black players want to play. And so they fought, they got on the teams, good for them. Now they make up 70% of the teams, and he's complaining. He's saying it's overrepresentation. There's too many black players on the team. We've got to, I guess, whittle them down? You just can't satisfy some people. Non-white players account for 70% of the NFL. Wait a minute, what do you mean non-white? Are we talking black? Nearly half of all Division I college football players are black. Further, through a process called racial stacking, this is where it gets really good. Coaches racially segregate athletes by playing position. It's not based on how good they are at a particular position. It's by whatever the coach wants to put them at, right? These demographic discrepancies place black athletes at a higher risk during play. Okay, that's a claim I'd like to see substantiated. As a cultural anthropologist, I'm sorry, everybody. All that time that we were making fun of him, I didn't realize we were talking about a football expert here. A cultural anthropologist, huh? You know what he looks like. You know what he looks like. I've spent the last decade learning how black college football players navigate the exploitation, racism, and anti-blackness that are fundamental to its current system. Hey, you know what's more anti-black? The non-football world. That's the reason why they want to play football. It's because it gets them away from an even harsher world. Jeez. I know it's not new to highlight the inherent violence of American football. That's true. It's not new. This sport requires exceptional athletes who are otherwise ordinary men, all right, to perform extraordinary feats on the field. Not really. Look, they run fast, they hit hard, big deal. We liken these men to gladiators and warriors. Not really. The leagues, organizations, teams, coaches, spectators, and fans who benefit from their performance expect them to tough it out when they get hurt and applaud them when they play through these injuries. Yeah, let's see here. What is the most famous example of playing through an injury? Probably Youngblood, right? Jack Youngblood. He had a broken leg and played with it. Okay. He was white, by the way. This is just silly. Football is a spectacle where excessive violence is mundane because hits that cause injuries are a constant occurrence, and spectators are desensitized to it. Consumers of the sport assume players will withstand any bodily affront, so they are shocked when a player's physical limits are exceeded, often on very public stages. People with a vested interest in professional football rationalize excessive violence in this structured space, as well as the ones that encompass college, high school, and pee-wee play. All because they assume that rules, equipment, and regulations exist to prevent death. They are. There's nothing assumptive about that. That's why we have the rules and the equipment. But this is false protection. While this form of entertainment has been normalized, Hamlin's injury demonstrates that ordinary violence has potentially deadly consequences and highlights how black men's athlete labor sustains this brutal system because white players never get hurt. On these playing fields, ones that sociologist Billy Hawkins would argue are never theoretically far from plantation fields. Oh, give me a break. Financial stakeholders value black bodies for their productive potential and physical prowess. And they also value white bodies for their productive potential and physical prowess whenever the white player is the better player. Oh my God. The league encourages and facilitates rigorous training and disciplining. Are you learning anything new here? So players can execute seemingly impossible corporeal demands, all in the service of entertainment, money-making, an insatiable fandom. Speaking of money-making, I think the players are involved in that too. In fact, I think that's kind of why they do it. In the words of sociologist and activist, oh, wait a minute. We have a sociologist and an activist now coming in here. So pay attention, everybody. This is going to get good. Harry Edwards, like a piece of equipment, the black athlete is used. No, they're paid to do a job. That's what happens. They're paid to do a job. Just like you and me. Well, I'm not aware of research that compares the rate of injury between black and white football players. Gee, how about doing some research before you publish this in, guess what? Scientific American. This is a really hard journal to get published in. And he says here, well, I don't know if black players get hurt more than white players. That's what this research is all about. This entire article is about that. And he's saying, well, I never even bothered to investigate it. Oh my God. As I said, this is the dumbest article I've ever read, and nothing coming out in 2023 is going to top this. I guarantee it.
You were the only one to make an idiotic statement like that. Why, Ralph? Why?
Because I was the only one brave enough to make that idiotic statement. That's why.
Heat strokes, ACL, and labrum tears, labrum? I guess. I'm not a medical person. Ankle sprains, bone breaks, and concussions are just a few of the consequences of how these bodies are used. No, those are examples of injuries, okay? You're playing a sport that, yes, everybody knows you can get hurt playing football. It happens. The NFL gains both culturally and financially from black athletic performance. There's a real shock. It is the most popular sports league in the United States and the most valuable professional sports league in the world. Are the players compensated for playing in this NFL? It is also a league that has exploited its black players for decades. Keep in mind, everybody, it took a long time for black players to be able to get into the NFL. And now that they have made it into the NFL, he's complaining that they're there. They should throw them out. Might get hurt playing football. League officials admitted to using race norming, the assumption that black players have lower baseline cognitive function than white players and suffer less from concussion and settlements for concussion-related injuries. That's not cool, and I don't know anything about it. A former head coach, Brian Flores, has sued the league for racial discrimination in hiring. Brian Flores? Is he black? I don't think I know who Brian Flores is. The NFL's success and popularity should never be disentangled from its persistent anti-black practices. Despite the dismissive arguments of critics that high salaries are payment enough for the injuries that NFL players will likely experience, athletes at other levels don't have this luxury. Public health scholar Kathleen Bashinsky, another football expert, details the risks that have always existed in youth tackle football. But professional play cannot be disconnected from college play, since this is where professional talent is cultivated. The college system thrives on unpaid athletes' labor through a power dynamic that sociologist Aaron Hatton terms status coercion, as coaches manipulate and exploit players' work to extract values that ultimately leads to revenue for almost every entity involved except for the players themselves. College players suffer the same injuries as professionals, although I'm starting to get the impression that they don't pay enough attention to football to even know about the NIL. College players suffer the same injuries as professionals, some of which end careers before they even begin. Yeah, we know it happens. Yet, there is often little support to help players imagine themselves outside of their athletic identities and cultivate alternative careers, except for the coursework that they take. They're in college. They're taking college classes. It's not the team's fault if these players don't pay attention while in class. They have far more opportunity than those who didn't get to play. That's what they're forgetting. For every one black football player that's getting a free ride to college and now NIL, there are probably 400 or 500 who sit at home, jobless, probably in gang-infested communities, you don't know. They don't get these opportunities. The most recent and exaggerated example occurred in fall 2020 during the second play during COVID-19. I'm getting kind of bored of all this. Let's skip down. In a way that is reminiscent of black feminist scholar, we now have a black feminist scholar weighing in on the NFL. Hortense Spiller's theorization of flesh. Theorization of flesh. You can't make this up. These situations demonstrate how organizations, administrators, and fans dismiss each player's personhood, strip them of their humanity, and reduce them to mere bodies. That sounds like what you do to people when you go to McDonald's. I mean, the employee behind the counter is there, to get your food. You don't sit there and worry too much about the person himself. You want that person to take your money and give you your hamburger. And it's the same thing with football players. Oh, by the way, there was a time when in the NCAA, when the players would run up to the camera and they would announce their major. So they would tell their name and their major. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. They got rid of it. You know why? More and more majors were general studies and undeclared and recreation. It became embarrassing. So they no longer do that. No football athlete deserves this treatment. Okay, they can quit. They don't have to do it. They don't have to play. These are adults. I'm sorry. If they know they can get injured, they know the risks. They decide it's worth it. So they engage in the sport. What are we expected to do here? Are we expected to turn this into flag football? They should not be expected to play after enduring, experiencing, and witnessing bodily traumas. Okay, they get hurt. Let's say they have a torn ACL. You throw them off the team? You don't want them to play, right? Oh, no, we can't do that. Well, what are you going to do with them? Like, you can't satisfy these people. If a player gets hurt and he works hard to overcome the injury and he wants to go back and play, who are we to say he can't? Now, obviously, if there's a very high risk of him getting seriously hurt, I can see the university saying, no, you got your neck broke. And you know what? If you get hit again, it could kill you. We're not going to let that happen. Okay? And universities do that. But if a player has a torn ACL and has overcome that injury and feels that they can play again and can demonstrate that they can play, who are we to say they can't? Further, to dismiss the almost certain breaking down of their bodies as just part of the game is a process of objectification and commodification that prioritizes the player over the person in a way that black feminist scholar Bell Hooks, we have another black feminist scholar involved here, and I guess she's really cool because they use lowercase for her name. Says, calls to mind the history of slavery and the plantation economy. Oh no. The anti-blackness of the system is inescapable. Despite the severity of Hamlin's injury, the current NFL season will continue. The game between the Bills and the Bengals has officially been canceled. I don't think it should have been. And I get a lot of heat for saying that, but I don't think it should have been. And the playoffs will be modified. Why? But predictably, the Super Bowl in February will be followed by the scouting combine in March, the draft in April, and team training camps during the summer. If that's right. You see, a player got badly hurt. We don't cancel everything. Oh, wait, we had a 747 that crashed on takeoff. Oh my God, let's ban all flight. Now, obviously, you will maybe stop play for enough to find out why the airliner went down. Okay, you need time to fix it, sure. But we don't cancel flights out of memory for the deceased. But we can't forget that without players themselves, the game cannot persist. That's right. That's why we have them play after they get injured, because we actually do need them. The elaborate infrastructure of the entire system relies upon their continued participation. That's right. You see, without pilots, you don't have any air travel. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Look at all the things we're learning here. If we expect these quotidian gladiators to return to the field, structural shifts must occur so they are actually cared for in a way that respects their humanity as men who just happen to play the game of football exceptionally well. What more do you want? If they get injured, they get the best of medical care. You get hurt in a car wreck, you're not getting that kind of care. What more do you want? I mean, you say we want to respect their humanity. After that dude playing for the Bills got hurt, every player gathered around him and were praying and praying and praying. Not really. They're all a bunch of phony asses, but they pretended to pray. Niagara Falls was painted blue for him. Opposing players went to the hospital to go see him. I mean, what else do you want? If you get hurt in a car wreck, nobody's doing that crap for you. So, how bad is it? Well, according to what we have here, football is just exceedingly dangerous. Oh my God. We have to do something because black players are getting hurt a lot. In my next video, we're going to look at another sport that can make a claim, but not quite in the same way. Auto racing. Like my video, subscribe to my channel, and put a fork in Scientific American. It's done.